Are silver raids a good idea? And is that even a good question? Well, so stacking gold is a little bit of a lonely hobby. It's not boring, it's not unpopular, there's a reason it has a starring role throughout history really. You just can't always talk about it in the open. Too many would-be bad guys. This little coin right here is worth somewhere around $2,000, and that's at a time when most people would struggle to cover an unexpected expense of half that. That's a nod to that 2019 study that found that something like 56% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 unexpected expense. So if you've been able to stack up any amount of gold at all, it's a significant thing, so good for you, truly. But again, it still isn't something that gets talked about much in the real world, and when you have an interest in something that isn't talked about much in the real world, well, you might end up in strange places looking for like-minded people. I don't mean to make any of this sound seedy. It's definitely not. A lot of that silence just comes from the idea of simple operational security. Talking about a wildly expensive thing that you have out in the open probably isn't a smart thing. That's just common sense. But continuing on that line of common sense, you're going to run into some strange people in some of those strange places, and that brings me to silver raids. 2 weeks ago, I had a comment on one of my videos about an upcoming silver raid. And then I had a second comment on my next video. And I asked both commenters what the rationale was, but neither replied. Two mindless comments is not enough to pique my curiosity, really, but a few other things have come up since then. So I looked into it a little bit further, and I guess what I'd say here is that if somebody wants to buy on a random date, along with a few friends, go for it. I've heard of crazier things. Some of the collectible coins on the desk here have 50% premiums. That's pretty crazy. But most of us here are adults. We can make our own decisions for better or worse. Okay, so if you are wondering what a silver raid even is, well, it's a set day for people to buy silver on. Not real complicated. Now the intentions, though, not super clear. I suppose it depends on who's talking about it. But the difference between a silver raid and a silver squeeze is the strategy behind them. Now, the strategy behind the silver squeeze and the silver squeeze 2.0 from 2020 and 2021 was to emulate a short squeeze in the market like we saw with GameStop. And the idea there is that you would aim at a stock with heavy short positions and then you buy it up. And then as the new money in drives the price of that stock up, well, it gets the investors scrambling to get out of their short positions. And then that sends the price up further. Now, that's an oversimplification for sure, but you get the general idea. Well, in the case of the silver squeeze, you had YouTubers pumping the idea saying that they were going to crash the COMEX, presumably by buying up any physical supply available for delivery. Well, that didn't work. The spot price of silver today is lower than it was at the time of either silver squeeze, and the COMEX still operating as usual. So I assume that that's the reason that we're now hearing about silver raids rather than squeezes. The strategy behind a squeeze is no longer there. Now, the problem with the silver squeeze and the silver squeeze 2.0 is that a lot of people pumped the idea with very questionable information, and then they encouraged others to rush in and buy specific amounts. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to silver pumping channels, but I remember a specific YouTuber calling for people to buy 100 ounces of silver on May 1st of 2021. And in my opinion, that was dangerous advice, and I made a video explaining why. Now, my primary concern at that point was that people who were new to metals would get stirred up and then they would spend more than they were comfortable spending because the story that was being told by the organizers seemed pretty compelling. Now, if you take that story away, take away the tall tales about crushing the COMEX, the stories about silver going to the moon, if you just look at a silver raid as a synchronized buying day, well, maybe it's just about finding your people. I don't know, maybe it's about camaraderie. I definitely don't think it's smart in any way, but the danger is more in the fact that you're more likely to waste money buying blind. It's like calling a straddle bet without looking at your whole cards. Win or lose, you're coming into a bet, spending more, and without any real reason. Now, I don't need to make a video just to tear something down, so I'm going to give you a few things that I would recommend thinking about before you buy anything, gold or silver. Now, again, we're all adults here, so you can make your own decisions, but here are some of the things that I think about before I buy silver or gold. First of all, is it a convenient time to buy? And by that I mean, do I have the sideline cash available for the purchase? If not, I don't buy. And then next, is the spot price reasonable? And that's probably one of the most important things right there. Now, if I clear those first two things, can I get what I want? Is it even in stock? And then last, but absolutely not least, does the premium make sense? And that pretty much covers it. If somebody else is organizing Silver Raid, it's very possible that none of those criteria ever get check marks. There's simply no possible way that I would participate in a Silver Raid unless somebody is incentivizing me to do it. Now, circling back to what I said at the outset, stacking gold or silver, it's kind of a lonely hobby. It's easy to wind up in dark corners getting suspicious advice, maybe just simply buying into an idea out of camaraderie. Yeah, I think I've said that word more in the last couple of minutes than I have in the last 20 years, but I'm sure there are people looking forward to the next Silver Raid. It's just like, I don't know, a person looks forward to the pub on St. Patrick's Day. Now, I can't call that into question. I can just say that maybe it's not a smart use of your money. But if your eyes are open to the reality that you aren't buying when it makes sense, you're just buying when it's convenient to somebody else, well, then it's up to you to decide whether or not it's worth it. Now, I did a quick check on premiums, silver premiums in particular, and I looked at American Silver Eagles, and we all know that they're more expensive than a lot of other options. But the American Silver Eagle right now, it's consistently 50 to 60% over spot. Now, I have gold on the desk here that came with 50% premiums, more I guess in some cases, but if I was going to liquidate any of these coins, I could easily get that premium back. Now, it'd be a lot more difficult to pick up standard bullion, silver or gold, I guess, at a 50% premium and then expect to profit on it or even come out whole. Now, you can find cheaper options than that 60% premium American Silver Eagle, but the same dealer has generic 10-ounce silver bars for 40% premium, so none of it's cheap. So if your goal is wealth preservation or just getting in a habit of practical savings, then you might want to maintain a bit of skepticism about random silver rates and then also the people pumping them. And if you're looking for camaraderie in strange places, I guess, I'm here posting a few times a week. You're always welcome to come and hang out. I think that covers it. So let us know what you're up to, whether that's piling in on silver raids or anything else really. This is a safe place, or at least I hope it is. And while you're there, be sure to hit the like button if you found any of this interesting. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you'd like to see more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.